Well, hello and welcome to Cali as we get ready for days of competition here in the Track World Championships. Looking across this very different arena, we have got, of course, the track which has got the roof over it, but this track is both indoors and outdoors. It's going to add a little bit of a different dimension to the 19 medals that we have on offer over the next few days. Well, we've just been enjoying the opening ceremony here in Cali, a magnificent atmosphere surrounding me, about 7,000 seats in this arena. And those of you who know Colombia will know that the atmosphere they like to create is fantastic. This was just a few moments ago here on the track. We were treated to lots of illuminations, lights, fluo lights and everything else to keep everybody entertained here on the track, and everybody being welcomed to what I think is a very proud country, bringing us a great colourful opening ceremony. Of course, Cali is the home of salsa, and we've had some displays of magnificent salsa dancing here on the podium, getting ready to get the party started as we get the riders ready for racing. They, of course, are trying to focus in this track centre as they try to get themselves motivated and ready for the racing that we're going to bring you this evening here in the track. Well, this track is quite technically difficult to ride. As we look across the centre here with all the different pens of the countries and the competitors that are taking part in these championships.
Have a good evening.
It's a real hive of activity. Track length, of course, 250 metres. And the straights are very long and the banking is very, very tight indeed, which makes it technically very difficult to actually ride. Temperature in here is very warm, 31 degrees centigrade, and extremely humid. Humidity at 51%, it's very close in here, and it's going to be, I think, tonight very warm for these riders.
Mr. Pedersen,
so here we
did
are
you like
with,
the show?
With
yes, I did.
Pedersen,
it's very good for the
UCI
cycling
Track
world to
Commission.
have the World Championship over here in that part of the world. Sure.
Talking about the sport itself now, what are you looking forward here now?
I'm especially looking for how the weather will be, because the windy weather could have an influence of the result, but that was we know before we came here. But now we can see the weather is quiet again here tonight, so I think we will get a very good night with sport in a very high level.
What are you expecting, especially in some races, some events?
I don't know what I should say, especially about the race here, because it's races. The track cycling is very popular over here. They like all kind of the events, but of course we always know that K-ring and today we will see the team sprint is very popular too, and also the men's 4,000 meter team pursuit is very elegant. The discipline, yeah.
As a Dane, you must be very excited about what happened this morning in the qualification with the Dane team pursuiters beating the venue record here.
Yeah, we were a little surprised. Of course, we were hoped to be between the last four, but we don't know what happened to the Great Britain. I think there was 7th or 8th. That was a surprise, but we will see what happens tonight. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So good to hear from Pedersen from the UCI Track Commission here at the start of these World Championships. Well, I hope you're going to join me for all the racing. Tonight we have 4 medals being decided, so we're going to bring you lots of action. 19 medals, as I mentioned already, on offer. And the first race we are going to see this evening is going to be the women's team sprint qualification. We have 8 different teams taking to the start line. Teams, of course, of 2 riders, and 8 teams will be taken to the track. Here's the Colombian team, who are, of course, going to race in front of their home crowd. They'll be the first team up on the track. In fact, 11 teams will be going in this, because earlier on we were going to have both of the normal run of qualification, which is you have 1 team on either side of the track. And just to explain to you, because this track is out, it's got a roof on it, but all sides are open. It means that the wind has actually got up a little bit, and because of that, it means that in the back straight you have a bit of a headwind, and that means, and I was talking to Sir Chris Hoy earlier, who is actually here in the track centre with Great Britain, and of course technically, as far as team sprinting is concerned, he pretty much knows it all. He said that you've got to look at the team sprint and think about qualification and the final, and it's actually an advantage for any team to be starting with a headwind, because that is the slowest section of any of these team sprints. So if you're going into a headwind at the start, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, but if you are the team that immediately hit the headwind after you're up to full throttle, then you will slow down a little bit, and it plays into the hands of the opposition. So there was a bit of a discussion went on with the commissaires earlier on, and it was decided that each of the teams would be riding for qualification on their own on the track. So the fastest 2 teams will race for gold, and the next 2 teams, 3rd and 4th, will go for the bronze medal. And we're going to get the Colombian team up on the track first of all. If you think back to last year, to Minsk, here's a rundown then of the schedule. We'll just turn our attention to that. Women's team sprint qualification up first, then we have the men's team sprint qualification. Following that will be the women's scratch race. I think that is going to be absolutely stunning. We have got a great field of riders in that race. And as we go through the night, we've got team pursuiting and team sprint finals as well. So if you are joining me for the action, don't go away. It is going to be a fun-filled evening. So the Colombian team are up on the track. Here we go. This is Juliana Davison. These are the 2 riders who are going to open up the racing for the first evening of the World Track Championships here. 2 laps of the track, and they're going to have to really throttle it to try and qualify. Looking at the laps around the arena, and a full start from the Colombian team. Looking at the flags around the arena right now, they are hanging down, so the wind that was picking up in the back straight now has pretty much calmed down. In fact, it's turned direction, and I would say it is now blowing across the track, so it's kind of a side wind in the finishing straight. Cali then, as we get ready for the Colombians to get started again, the 2nd largest city in Colombia. Hosted the Pan Am Games back in 1971, when some of these facilities will start to be built around this area. There is the velodrome here. There's also an inline skating arena just outside, which was built for the World Games a couple of years ago. There's also a swimming arena and everything else. So there's a lot of facilities in this area of Cali. Here's the start list then. We're going to have Colombia going first, followed by Mexico. Will follow up with Ukraine, then Japan, then the Netherlands, and then we run through to the last few starters. The last team to go will be Germany, with Great Britain and China going ahead of them. Germany, the world champions of last year, with Vogel and Welte, the Olympic and the world champions. So we're going to try and get the Colombians started now. Diana Garcia and Juliana Gaviria. hope they don't have another full start as they get themselves focused. 27 seconds now until the start. 2 laps of the track, absolutely flat out. You have to give it absolutely everything. Notice they have got the golf ball dimples on their helmets to try and give them a little bit of aerodynamic advantage. You'll also notice that most of the sprinters and team pursuiters will be riding with the carbon fibre bladed spokes in the front wheels. And here we go, they're underway now. So they lead off. And the rider in the front is Gaviria, who's going to try and get this Colombian team up to speed. It looks like Diana Garcia is really struggling to get on the wheel. She looks down to have a look at the gear. She is moving all over the place, not to get a line there as she hits the black gauge line around the bottom of the track. Technically very hard to hold your line in this Cali track. And Gaviria, to me, looks like she might be a little bit overgeared. She is really fighting that car. Putting the line then 34.185 for the Colombian team. An average speed of 52.654 kilometers an hour. They set the tempo for everyone else to follow. Of course, great to see the crowd getting animated. And here's the replay of the Colombians. So the next team up on the track will be the Mexican squad. Seconds until the Mexican team get underway. And here we go. This is the team. Let's introduce them then. Franny Fong and Daniela Gaxiola Gonzalez. Teaming green and white. The Mexican team then onto the start. One rider just asking to be just moved across a little bit. And another full start for the Mexicans. So the Colombians had a full start. And now the Mexicans have a full start. What happened here? Yeah, the Mexican rider starting too early, pulling the bike out, and then having a problem. And you've got to lead off with the rider who's in the starting gate. Tried to go far too quickly, go too early. And so she is being told to go back to the starting blocks and get underway. I know a few of you are saying that we've got a few problems with some sound, so we're working on that. Thanks for your messages as usual on Twitter @McCrossan, and we'll make sure that we get the sound levels exactly how you want them, and then we'll be able to hear everything that we are saying out here in Cali. The Mexican team then getting themselves ready back into the starting blocks yet again. These great aero hats that they've got, the mirror visor all the way around, give a real Star Wars kind of look to the team sprint. So the Colombian team have set the pace with 34.185, an average speed of just over 52 kilometers an hour. And now we're on to the Mexicans, Franny Fong and Daniela Gacciola. Now they've got to get themselves focused, ready for action again. "17 seconds until they get underway." Here we go again, another bit of a problem with the change out of the starting blocks, trying to go far too early and therefore actually slowing up. So the rider who is starting for Mexico in the starting gate really not got those starts absolutely nailed. And they're checking there, of course, for the change. And we had so many problems in London 2012. We think back to the disqualifications in the team sprint, that actually the rules were changed as Mexico come up to the line, hit the line there in 35.003, average speed of 51.424 kilometers an hour. Second to the Colombians, no surprise really there. They didn't have that absolutely nailed like we see the faster squads like the Germans. Just trying to go too early, trying to jump the start out of that gate. And not a smooth run out of the starting gate. It holds you until the beat absolutely goes. So you have got to be absolutely focused. You go on the final beat, the gate opens, and then you're off. And that Mexican rider having just a little bit too much eagerness to get out of the starting gate. The next team to go then will be the Ukrainian team. Here they are in the colours of that we've got used to. Slight change of the kit for these World Championships, but predominantly still the same as we've been always used to. The yellow across the front there with the turquoise and white. We'll get used to these countries and different colours over the next few days. But for those of you joining us for track racing for the first time, we'll try and educate you a little bit as to exactly what goes on. If you look very closely at those skin suits that the Ukrainian team are wearing, again, a little dimpled effect on them helps cut through the air. This is Elena Starakova and Elena Tsos, who are going to ride for the Ukraine. Nice smooth start then for the Ukrainian squad as they go off the start here. Lots of cameras in this arena to bring you the action. Nice high cameras, a couple of cranes as well around the banking to give you that swooping shot. That's the one there. As we come up to the change and they'll loop across here. Next rider to go goes through onto the front, and the opening at 250 was 22.30, not quite on the pace of the Colombian squad as they race up to the finish line. 34.961, good enough for second. They still Colombians lead with 34.185. So it was Elena Tsos who was the second rider in the stars over leading off there. Really painful opening 250 it is. You have to get your start right and you've got to get everything out over the 250 meters. So the standings right now, Colombia lead 34.185, then the Ukraine in second place 34.961, Mexico 35.003. Three teams have gone. In 2013, the standings were Germany took the gold medal with Kristina Vogel, and Miriam Welte was the silver medal going to China, and the bronze medal went to Great Britain with Becky James and Victoria Williamson. And if you were joining us for the racing last year, you'll remember that went on to start off a real streak of great performances by the British rider Becky James, taking 4 medals in total away from the World Championships in Belarus, in Minsk. It is a complete contrast, I must tell you, to what it was like in Minsk compared to what it's like here. We were leaving the Minsk velodrome into the freezing cold and the snow. Out here we're pretty much outdoors and it's 31 degrees and everyone is walking around absolutely boiling hot. Right, the next team to go. This is a team from Japan and it's Takako Ishii and Yuka Kobayashi. Japan underway, 250 meters. As the opener for the front rider there, going off the start. And a little bit of a gap there between the two riders as they get underway. Who is going to look at that? The gap is far too wide. The second place rider's got an awful lot to do just to get there. And you can see they haven't got the momentum absolutely perfect. It's Kobayashi who's now left on the track, who has struggled to stay on the wheel of Takako Ishii, heading up towards the finish, 35.584. And Japan take part in the team sprint, but they are fourth fastest compared to the other squads who have gone so far. Nice shots there of the start. You can see, just as you come out of the turn number 4 on this track, the coaches who I've talked to before the start in the centre have said technically it's tough to ride this course, especially when the wind starts to pick up. Long straights, tight turns, which means the compression out of turn 2 and turn 4, on this track mean that you waver off the sprinter's line, off the back line, and technically for all of these riders it's very, very different to other tracks that they will have raced in the World Cups so far this year. So we move on now to the Dutch team, and we introduce onto the track Shanna Braspennik and Alice Lidley of the Netherlands. You'll notice the rubberized skin suits that these Dutch riders are wearing give some really nice aerodynamic flow. You see the flag waving, you never see that in the indoor velodromes. Just shows you about the turbulence that we are seeing here in Cali. Nice stitching on these Dutch skin suits as well. Aerodynamic lines, you'll see the seams help with the wind flow as well. And I would expect to see the Dutch team of Alice Lidley and Shanna Braspennik go quickest out of the team so far. But let's see as we count down now to the start. So the team's safely out of the start then. And they really are moving as they get the momentum going. And let's see whether this Dutch squad can set the fastest time. The time to beat is 34.185 and the opening 250. Oh, having to go right down onto the Côte d'Azur there. The opening 250 is the fastest time so far. 19.117 as they head now towards the completion of this 500 metres. 53.585 kilometres an hour, 33.591, they go top of the leaderboard, no surprise there. The Dutch squad looking rapid around the course. Burst of energy out of the start, set them up nicely, the change was good, had to go down on the track just a little bit, but the front rider managed to give the second place rider as much slipstream as possible. There is Alice Lidley and her teammate Shanna Braspennik just warming down. Confirmation of the standings then with 5 teams gone. The Netherlands 33.591. On now to the Spanish squad taking the start line. 32 seconds to the start. And this is Tania Calvo and Elena Casas of Spain. getting themselves focused and ready for this 250 meters. Thank you to all of you joining me for tonight's coverage here from Cali. So a full start there for the Spaniards. What happened here? And problem for the rider on the inside. As we've mentioned in the previous couple of rides, the top rider cannot overtake their partner, and the inside rider on the starting gate just didn't get a smooth exit from that start gate. So Tanya Calvo will go back and get herself into that start gate and will get underway. So a few discussions going on there between the Spanish coach and the two riders. Nice shot there of the bikes that these riders are riding. We're choosing to have the bladed carbon fibre spoked wheel, 5 spokes there on the front to cut through the air nicely, and then the disc wheel on the back. All the riders will choose not to ride the disc wheels front and back for manoeuvrability, and also because there is the potential for crosswinds and things in this arena. Just looking at the flags, they're fluttering a little bit more wildly now, so we'll see whether that changes the times. Now I'm getting some information now on my results that the Dutch team have been relegated for an illegal change. So the Dutch who went fastest, now we're seeing the Colombians 34.185 as still the leaders. Disappointment for the Dutch. It looked to me like the change was okay, but it did notice that one of the Dutch rider who had to come through to the front did have to drop down the track, and it may be that the change was done outside the change zone that they're allowed to. You'll notice that the commissaires, the judges in the blazers who are walking the line, who had to make those decisions in the Olympic Games, will do the same here. The rules have slightly changed to London 2012, but you still have to do your change within a specified period of time leading up to the turn 1, which we're coming up to on the track here. Right, the Spanish team got a little bit smoother here as they get underway, and the time to beat is now back to 34.185 by the Colombian team. The Dutch team relegated down. Their time will not count for any of these minutes, so it is now Elena Casas, as you can see, really struggling to hold that bike down the banking here. As she goes round, she's wavering all over the place. The time to beat, 34.185. She does it, 33.913 for the Spanish squad. They go quickest. Way outside the world record, of course, which is 32.153, set in Aguascalientes in the World Cup by Germany. And that's at a much higher altitude, and it's indoors in a more sterilised atmosphere. Well, let's take a look then at the standings. So there's Spain, 33.913, the first team under 34 seconds, and the Dutch relegated. They're down to 6th place now, but of course they will not take any further part in this team sprint. Let's have a look at the change then, and we can see what actually happened here on the track. I think we're going to get a replay of exactly what happened, then we'll be able to see exactly why they were relegated. Here we go. So they are heading up to the track, and the change is happening, but the change actually happened too late. You can see the second place rider, Kraspanik, trying to go through. Ellis Lickley leaving it too late to switch up, and therefore the Dutch rider has been relegated. We'll move on then to the French. A good squad here. 5 teams left to start in this qualification. If you've just joined us now, 2 teams, the fastest 2 teams, will go through to contend the gold and silver medals, and the bronze medal ride-off will be between the 3rd and 4th fastest squads. This is the French team with Sandy Claire and Virginie Queff. Good start then from the French squad, driving the pace through the pedals, getting the bikes up to top speed as they go down the back straight. Slight headwind now, again down that back straight as they go into the final couple of turns. Will they safely change? I'm not sure. Yet they did manage to change there, and now it's left to Virginie Queff, rider 175, racing around the track. The opening time was quick, 19.059. Hits the line then, 33.443, and the French go quickest. Average speed of 53.822 kilometers an hour. So we see here the French team hitting the line, and one of 2 teams now under the 34-second point. Well, thank you very much to all of you for all your messages. At @McCrossan is where you could send me any questions or anything that you would like to know over the next few days of competition. Here's the standings then. 33.443 to France, Spain in 2nd place. 4 teams left to go. The next team will be taking the start now, and this is the Russian squad. Normally we have 1 team on either side of the track in the team sprint qualification, but because of, as you can see, the wind in this arena, we are 1 team going for qualification. Leading up now to the countdown, this is going to be Elena Brezhneva and Anastasia Voinova of Russia. They're not quite ready though. The bike is in the start gate, the riders aren't. So a bit of discussion going on here with the Russian coaches, and they've decided to change a bike. Looks like they had a bit of a mechanical problem, and the coach is so important and the mechanic so important at this point in the countdown to a team sprint. They check the bikes, they wipe down the tyres to make sure that they are absolutely clean as anything. And then they make sure that the bike is perfectly in that start gate and do it so that the riders don't feel any stress. Interesting to note that one of the Russian team not wearing any form of aero helmet at all, and the other Russian rider with a full visor on. So not really considering the aerodynamics too much for the starting rider, but strapping the feet into those pedals, so you clip them in into your clipless pedals, and then they also use the straps, double straps over the feet to make sure that they don't pull their foot out at all. 22 seconds till the start. Brezhneva and Voinova then blasting their way out of the start, really trying to get up to speed, and they don't look too bad. Nicely drilled as they power their way down this back straight into that headwind. Let's see what the opening 250 is. France with 19.059. The Russians go quicker. 19.002. And it is Voinova, who's the rider left on the track now, to try and beat the time of 33.443. Hits the line then, does it. 33.441, just .002 inside the time of France. So the Russians now go quickest. 53.826 kilometers an hour. There's a lot of you around the world watching tonight. Here in Cali, it's about 25 past 7 in the evening. Lots of racing left. Wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, I hope either you're staying awake or you're with me first thing in the morning. I don't normally do it, but hello to the PR team from the Tour of Beijing who are watching. Another race which will be later on in the season, right at the end of the road season. So Russia qualify 33.441, and only 3 teams left to start. That will be China, Germany and Great Britain, the riders, the teams who were the medalists last year. China have a brand new team here though. They don't have either of their silver medalists from 2013 in Minsk. So we now have the bronze medalists from last year, exactly the same squad. Rebecca James, and she is here, being joined now by her teammate in here, of course, Jess Varnish. Of course, not the same 2 riders exactly. Jess Varnish swapping over. It was Vix Williamson who took the medal with Rebecca James, but Varnish recovering from injury now. Had a terrible back injury after London 2012. Now she's back on the trail to try and take gold medal here in the World Championships. Rebecca James, who went to the Keirin school in Japan after her world title win in the Keirin last year, and Varnish has been working really, really hard. She basically said she trained far too hard after the Olympic Games. 18.978 for the British pairing. They are faster than any other squad on the track, as James looks like, I don't know whether she's in too big a gear, but she is hitting the line now. 33.214. The British team go quickest, 54.194 kilometers an hour for Rebecca James and Jess Varnish. Rebecca James looked to me like she was fighting that bike, not as fluid as she normally is. I don't know whether they put a big gear on that bike, but it worked. Varnish opened up with a very quick 18.978 on this track. Varnish was of course the rider who was paired with Victoria Pendleton in the London 2012 Olympics, and they were disqualified for an illegal change, and Varnish went home without any medal whatsoever. She then went away, trained unbelievably in the gym, and actually did her discs in and her back, and she's had to fight back and recover from that terrible injury, and it's good to see her back racing. Interesting for me that we don't have an Australian squad in the team sprint. But of course Australia got real strength and depth in the other races that we're going to see throughout the night. We're going to see some fantastic racing. So the Chinese pairing then, they're up on the track. Completely different to the silver medal pairing of last year. This is now Lin Junhong and Song Qianqi of China. Getting underway. And now looking to get up to top speed. It will be Song Qianqi who will be left on the track. It is Lin Junhong who is leading. As they head up now to complete the 250, 18.999. So they are second fastest on the track at that point. Now can they produce a faster second 250? Heading up towards the completion now. It's 32.941. That was very, very fast on this track. 32.941 for the Chinese team. They look a lot smoother in the second 250 than the British team did. A lot more fluid. And it is who sets the time 32.941. And now it's all about whether the German players will go quickly in all the squads, leaving Germany and China to go for the gold, and Britain and Russia to go for the bronze medal. So here's the standings now. China, Great Britain and Russia have all qualified. 32.941 is now the time to beat, but the track in just a moment is going to be the Olympic and world champion pairing of Miriam Welte and Kristina Vogel. So the fastest opening 250 was that of Jess Varnish so far of Great Britain, 18.978. China with an 18.999 and Russia with 19.002. This pairing have won pretty much everything. Kristina Vogel at the top of the track there, the shorter rider in this pairing. Miriam Welte will lead off, and Vogel with the real power will go blistering around this track to try and set the fastest time. They are the world record holders, 32.153, set in Aguascalientes in Mexico on the 5th of December in 2013 on a night of world records which was so incredible, including the fantastic kilometre of Francois Purvis of France. Here we go then, Germany underway, a smooth start for the world champions. They're defending their title. Miriam Welte going blasting out of the starting blocks. The opening 250 is 18.978 to beat. Vogel getting right up there on the wheel. Who's going to be fastest? Well, 18.695. The fastest time so far. Now Vogel will get that cadence right up to speed, and she'll try and set a faster time than China. Hits the line. 32.575 for Germany. Very, very fast on this open air track. Just outside the world record by 0.4. And considering where we are and we're outside, that is a fantastic performance. Vogel and Welte are so impressive. So it's going to be Germany against China in the gold and silver medal ride, and it's going to be Great Britain against Russia in the ride-off for the bronze medal. There's confirmation then of the qualifying results. Those top 4 teams qualifying, and there's the rundown of the rest. The Netherlands being relegated for that illegal change. No sooner have we completed that, and we're going to move on now to the men's team sprint qualification. Listen to the fans of this Cali arena. The atmosphere in here, I must admit, is absolutely fantastic so far. They are really getting behind this championship. We had some qualification earlier on today, and there was quite a few thousand fans in, but as I look around, there is a few empty seats, but not many, and considering it's one of the biggest arenas that we have in the world. The Colombian team then will be underway. Full start for the Colombian squad. The rider in the middle there just looked like he was I don't know what he was thinking. He bows his head in shame. The atmosphere got to him. So nervous, some of these riders. Leonardo Narvaez was the rider there, who's now got to go back to the start. And his helper didn't help him too much. He let him go. Normally they would try and hold on to him a little bit. Now, if you've been a fan of cycling for many, many years, you'll notice the sponsorship on the Colombian kit. Postobon, that's all over this arena. They're outside, they've got stands everywhere. Do you remember the professional team of the Colombian riders like Fabio Parra? They rode for the Postobon team. And previous to that, they rode for Café de Colombia as well. But it's nice to see the Postobon logo still involved in cycling here in Colombia. Colombian cycling, though, it's so growing. It's fantastic to see so many of their riders coming through now, not just on the track, but also at World Tour level. Okay, here we are again. It's Ruben Murillo, Leonardo Narvaez and Santiago Ramirez. They will be the three riders for Colombia. The top rider is already underway before the starting gate opens, just about. Right, slightly different to the women's racing if you've not seen men's team sprinting before. Three riders on the track, and they do 3 laps of the track. The opening 250, 17.596. A little bit ragged here from the Colombians, but now they seem to have got themselves back together. 750 metres, the world record is 41.871 held by Germany. And the final Colombian rider on the track is now sprinting his way around, being urged on by the fans in this velodrome. 31.152 for the second time, 44.924, 60 kilometres an hour. Let's take a look at this start. Did he go first? I'm not sure. It was pretty close. Certainly, the rider in the starting gate took a long time to get going. Very fine line on these rules, and it all comes down to those guys in the blazers. They decide, do they go or do they fire the gun and bring them back to the start? 44.924 for the Colombians. That won't trouble the medals, but great to get the fans in this arena cheering these riders on, giving them a real urge on and trying to get them up to speed. Spain then, onto the track. Just to give you an idea when teams are starting, so that wherever you are, whatever country you support, you've got an idea. So it's Spain, followed by Poland, followed by Japan, then China, then the Netherlands, followed by Russia. The Australians then go. They've got a great team in this one. Daniel Shane Perkins and Matthew Gleitzer. Great Britain follow the Australians, then the New Zealanders. New Zealand, another great team, second in 2013, exactly the same team as the squad they had last year. Followed by France, and then we finish with Germany, who were the champions of 2013. Spanish squad then, Jose Moreno, Juan Peralta and Jode Mascoran. The opening 250, 17.596 by the Colombians. So the Spanish team just trying to get up to speed. And it should be Mascaran who is the rider on the trail of these three as they swap over. 17.925, not quicker than the Colombians in the opening 250. So we're left with the next two riders on the track. It'll be Mascaran who'll be the final rider. Here he goes. It's 31.053 now. They've started to accelerate, so they've gone ahead of the Colombians after 500 meters of racing, heading up to the completion of the 750 meters. They go quickest, 44.753, 60.331 kilometers an hour. So Spain faster than the Colombian squad. 12 teams to go. The first two teams on time will go through to fight it out for the gold and silver, and the third and fourth place teams will fight it out for the bronze medals later on. Really busy in this track centre, as you can see, with all the teams getting ready for these qualification rides and the medal ride-offs. Don't forget that coming up we'll have the women's scratch race after the men's team sprint. That is a straight final. We'll see the gold, silver and bronze medals awarded. Then we'll move on to the men's team pursuit finals, which we had qualification for earlier on today. That's going to be a great race to watch. We will see Denmark and Australia go head-to-head for the gold medal. Turn our attention then to Poland. It is Maciej Bilecki, Damian Zielinski and Krzysztof Maxel who are going now for a time to try and beat the fastest time so far, 44.753 by the Spanish squad. An interesting choice of socks by the third place rider in this Polish team. That's Krzysztof Maxel. He's obviously a fan of fluo yellow, and he's got nice long socks to actually, which will give him a little bit more aerodynamic advantage. You'll notice that these teams now don't have the over socks on. They're not allowed to wear them against the UCI rules as they head now around the track. They are quickest at 500 meters. Are they going to be the fastest team at the finish line? They'll have now hit the line in 43.885, the first team under 44 seconds, over 61.5 kilometers an hour, and Poland leads. Nice, good, clean start by the Polish team. Damian Zielinski, the second place rider, swinging up the track, letting his teammate through. And Maxel diving down into that bank and keeping a good line, setting the fastest time. And a nice chance to look at the socks. So the team's just warming down, the riders in the Polish squad. .44.753, and Colombia with the 44.924 ride. The next team to go will be Japan. The Japanese team then we have in this squad leading off will be Tomoyuki Kawabata, followed by Katsunari Watanabe and Toshiro Nakagawa as the last rider to be left on the track. Time to beat then, 43.885 set by the Polish team. Here we go, underway by the Japanese squad. I think we're going to start to see some emergence of the Japanese teams because they've got such great care in schools, great history of track racing, and heading round to complete the first lap, 18.214, the slowest time though so far on the track by the Japanese squad. They get the bell. Can they go quicker? 31.112. So they're trying to peg a little bit back. They've gone faster than the Colombian team. So third fastest at 500 meters for the Japanese squad. Heading up to complete the 750 meters, hitting the line 44.938. Fourth fastest, so again fading over the final 250. Still Poland leads 43.885 for the Polish team. It'll be interesting to see how the fact that this track is open affects the team sprint final later on tonight. Because if this wind picks up at all, then the words of Sir Chris Hoy that he chatted to me about earlier may well come into effect. That is, if you are in the back straight to start, then you will have an advantage on the team on the other side of the track. So the next team are up on the track now. And this is going to be the Chinese squad, the fifth team to start in this team sprint qualification. If you've just joined us now, we have all the team sprint teams trying to set the fastest time. The first two teams will go through to fight it out for gold and silver. The bronze medal will be fought out by the third and fourth place teams. The Chinese skin suits are interesting, as you can see. All the texture on them to help with the wind flow. If you have a totally flat surface, the wind does not cut across the skin suit, as well as a golf ball dimple effect. So they're underway then, going blasting out of the blocks. The Chinese squad of Hu Qi, Chang Miao and Chu Chao. It is Chu Chao who will be the last rider left on the track. And the opening 250 fastest time, 17.596. Both Poland and Colombia are equal on time, but the Chinese squad have gone through an 18.004, which is the fourth fastest time. Can they pick up a little bit of speed? Interesting change there between these two riders. Not so sure that was how it should have been done. 31.404, fifth fastest, so they're going slower over that second 250. Hitting the line now, 45.131, fifth fastest, faded over the last couple of laps. Replay then of the Chinese team. Shows for the third place rider just how painful this discipline is, because you have got to get up to speed, and you've also got to make sure that you hold on to the wheel of the riders in front of you, and the front place rider is trying to go blasting out of the blocks and set the fastest time they possibly can, whilst you and the third place have got to just somehow stay in the slipstream, and if you miss the wheel at all, then you have all sorts of problems. The 16 to go will be the team in orange then, the Netherlands team. Good squad here. We could see a quick time from this squad. Leading off will be Jeffrey Hoogland. He's just checking his bike in the starting gate. He's not entirely happy with the way the bike was put into the starting gate, so he's asked for it to be moved. Jeffrey Hoogland then into the gate safely. You'll notice the wide toe straps on those pedals. He's got to clip those feet in, and the timing has gone back to make sure that they can get underway. So Jeffrey Hoogland will lead, followed by Hugo Hack, and then the rider who will be left on the track will be Matthias Buchli. Buchli, a very strong sprinter. Last year then the medals went to Germany, New Zealand and France. Underway then for the Dutch team, Jeffrey Hoogland, Hugo Hack and Matthias Buchli. Buchli right on the wheel of the rider in the middle, but the second place rider Hugo Hack is struggling just a little bit to stay on the wheel of the front place rider, but it's a fast opening 250. 17.565 for the Dutch. That is the fastest opening 250 so far. Heading up to get the bell. Are they still quick? The answer is they are. 30.458. They go fastest through the 500-meter point. Quicker than the Polish team. Now it's down to Matthias Buchli. Can he set the fastest time? Hits the line then. No, 43.925. He faded over the final 250, which is a big surprise there. He looked like he was fighting his bike. 43.925 for the Dutch. Second fastest, 61.468 kilometers an hour. They had it all right over the opening 500. Fastest through 250. Fastest through 500, and then they fade and they finish in second place. Still the Polish team lead. So if you're a fan of Poland, their time is 43.885, faster than the Netherlands in second place. Here we are. 43.925, and the Spanish squad holding on to third at the moment, but some big teams left to come yet, and some real firepower in these squads. And coming up soon will be the Australian squad. They will be going after the Russian team, who are next to appear on the track. Leading off then will be Pavel Yakushevsky, followed by Denis Dmitriev, the silver medalist last year in the sprint competition. And Nikita Shurshin is the last rider to be left on the track in this trio from Russia, as they go blasting out of the start, as Yakushevsky tries to get this trio right up to speed. Fast through the opening 125. Let's see if that translates. It does. 17.297, the fastest time through 250 meters, beating the Polish squad. Looking pretty quick. A little bit of wavering going on through the turn 4 on the track. And now it is down to the final rider. Fastest through 500 meters, 30.185 for Russia, the time to beat. 43.885. Let's take a look at the clock. Are they going to do it? Heading up to the finish line, and they do. 43.454. They are fastest by 3.431 of a second. And Russia go top of the leaderboard. The Russian team then warming down after that performance of 43.454. Top of the leaderboard. The Polish team in second place, 43.885, and the Dutch in third place with 43.925. We're going to move on now to the Australians. Some teams coming now who've won medals at major championships, and the Australian squad are next to go. Daniel Ellis will be leading them off. 5 World Championship appearances for him from South Australia. 28 seconds to go. Shane Perkins, 8 appearances in World Championships. The Kieran World Champion in 2011. It'll be, I think, Matthew Glaetzer will be the third rider, the final rider left on the track. Team Sprint World Champion, of course, in 2012. Can the Australians now set the fastest time? Here we go. A little bit of a move on the front wheel there as Daniel Ellis went blasting out of the starts. Can they get up to top speed? The opening 250 they're looking at. 17.297 for Russia. Hitting the line now, and it's just outside. 17.517. Maybe that little switch as he came out of the start didn't help. Can they translate it now to a faster second 250? Hitting the line, third fastest, 34.92 for the Australians. Now they really have to motor as we see whether they can set the fastest time. Heading in towards the last couple of turns. The time to beat, 43.454, just outside. Second quickest, 43.658 for the Australian squad. There's the start there. Daniel Ellis, Shane Perkins, Matthew Glaetzer. They did look quick, but I can imagine right now for these riders and coaches in this open air arena, normally where you can say, yep, pick this gear, it could be a little bit difficult in here with the wind, which now and then is picking up a little bit. Four teams left to go. Here's the standings. Russia lead, 43.454. It's Australia in second place and the Polish team in third place. Remember, it's the fastest 2 teams who will go through to compete for the gold medal. It'll be third and fourth fastest teams who will be going for the bronze. That will be later on tonight. Following on from this, we will have the women's scratch race. That's going to be an interesting race. We have got some real firepower in the women's scratch race tonight, including, of course, the double world champion on the road for Italy, Giorgia Bronzini, going for gold in that. But now we turn our attention, having seen the Australians race. These 2 teams always love to race against each other, and we turn our attention to the British squad. Great Britain, of course, trying to find a replacement for Sir Chris Hoy, if that is at all possible. 2 members of the Olympic champion team in here, and let's see whether they can produce a good result. Heading off then, it is Philip Hines who leads off, famously the rider who crashed at the start of the Olympics. And he is going to try and set a time of the fastest split, 17.297. He is fastest, 17.263. Turns over now to Jason Kenny, the Olympic champion as well. Kenny now trying to set the fastest split at 500. They go through in 30.076. Fastest time for Great Britain now as they lead the most inexperienced rider of the trio, Kian Amadi, from Stoke, heading up towards the finish line. Hitting the line now, second fastest to Russia, 43.617. Well, Hines and Kenny set things up nicely to go for gold, and they have been beaten by the Russian squad. That final 250 just couldn't keep the speed of Kenny and Hines, and Kian Amadi racing round to stop the clock in 43.617. Russia's time, 43.454. 3 teams left to go. And they are the three teams who took the medals last year. Germany took the gold, New Zealand took the silver, and France took the bronze last year. Are we going to see the same again? It is Russia who so far have qualified. They will definitely ride for some colour of medal.
On the track from New Zealand.
So if you're a fan of New Zealand, here we are, the same team who took the silver medal last year. Ethan Mitchell will lead off for New Zealand. Sam Webster will take over, and it will be Ed Dawkins who will try and bring New Zealand home. Well, this New Zealand squad always looks stealth, don't they? And they're underway. Nice start from the New Zealand team. Ethan Mitchell gritting his teeth as they go to try and get up to top speed. Little gap between him and the second and third place team, but they're very quick through the opening 1:25. Can they beat the opening time of Great Britain? They can. 17:240 for New Zealand. Now it's down to the last two riders, Sam Webster and Ed Dawkins. Can they produce the fastest time through to 500? And they are fastest. The first team under 30 seconds. 29.975. New Zealand are at a blistering time. Here we go as we look at Ed Dawkins racing round the final 250. Stops the clock. 43.065. And that is the fastest time so far. New Zealand looked rapid all the way through. It was a lovely start. Let's look. It was an opening 1:25 that set them up. Ethan Mitchell, the crowd are enjoying this one. Giving them a standing ovation behind me. Webster took over. He went through 500 in the first team under 30 seconds. Of course, we're not seeing the times that we see at altitude and an indoor arena, but we are seeing some great performances. And New Zealand will ride for a medal again tonight. Confirmation then, New Zealand 43.065, Russia 43.454, and Great Britain and Australia there, pretty close on time, 43.617 and 658. France up on the track now. Two teams left to go, France and Germany. Starting for France will be Gregory Boget, 7 times a world champion. Was of course stripped of 2 titles in 2011. But now back on the track and racing. Following him will be Kevin Sirot, former world record holder in the 200-metre time trial, and the only rider from the French team in 2013, Michael Dalmeida, on the back of this trio. The opening 250 is 17.240. Remember, the two fastest times will race for gold. And through the 250, it's 17.462. They're off the pace, way down on Great Britain's time, which is now the second quickest time, and in fact down on the team of Russia through 500 in 32.30. It's only good enough for 4th fastest for France. This is a disappointing time so far. Can Dalmeida pull this one back? Heading up to the completion of the 750 metres, stops the clock in 3rd. Just beating the time of Great Britain, so they were consistent all the way through. 43.486. They qualify. They will ride for a medal later on. But it's still New Zealand who are 43.065, which means that without a doubt, New Zealand will be riding for gold later on tonight. Gregory Boget, Kevin Serrault, Michael Dalmedia. They will qualify, they will ride for a medal. And there's the standings then. New Zealand 43.065, Russia 43.454, France 43.486. Barring any issues, I would say that it's going to be Germany against New Zealand, but you never know what might happen. The German squad then, the gold medalists from last year. They have a slight team change from the gold medalists of last year, but they're getting themselves up on the track now. Rennie Enders, Robert Forsterman and Maximilian Levy. The man with the thighs, Forsterman. Look at those thighs. 28 inches. Sometimes he can get them up to about 29, 30. They're huge. How he manages to get those thighs past that top tube, I will never know. So Rennie Enders and Maximilian Levy were the gold medalists from last year. Forsterman comes in here to complete the trio. They are the world record holders, 41.871, again set in that magnificent World Cup in Aguascalientes in Mexico, where so many world records were beaten in December. The time to beat, 43.065. To ride off for the gold, they have to beat 43.454. Here we go then. Rennie Enders underway. Leading off, you'll notice the World Championship stripes round the sleeves. The opening 250, it's a little bit slower through the 125, and to me they look a little bit more ragged than they normally do. 17.268. It is third fastest. Are we going to see a big surprise here? Germany now setting themselves up for the 500 meters. It's going to be a blistering last 250. 30.046, good enough for second place. This puts them in with a chance of riding against New Zealand for the gold. They really have to throttle it over the last 250. Heading up towards the finish line. 43.301, good enough for second place. New Zealand are the fastest qualifiers. It's Germany who will ride for the gold medal against them, and it's Russia and France who will ride for the bronze medal. There's the start. Germany just did not look slick. They did not look as good as they normally do. Heading up towards the completion of the 500 metres, hitting the line now. You'll notice the long socks there on Maximilian Levy. They're trying any little touch they can get to give a little bit of aerodynamic advantage. So we turn our attention now to the team sprint qualification standings at the end of qualification. 4 teams there riding for medals. New Zealand will race against Germany. Russia will race against France. And there's the rundown of the rest of the teams. Wherever you're watching, do not go away. I think we're about to see the best race of the night. Let's hope that my billing means that these riders live up to that expectation. We're going to turn our attention to the women's scratch race. Here's the rundown then of the start list in this women's scratch race. And we'll pick out all these riders as we go through the racing. 20 riders then taken to the track. Nothing simpler then the first rider across the line at the end of 40 laps of racing, 10 kilometres, will be the gold medalist. And what a lineup this is. You can see as we work our way through the lineup of riders. Just pick a few out for you. We have, of course, got Giorgio Bronzini, the Italian rider, twice a world road race champion, bronze medalist in the points race in 2013, riding now, of course, on the road for Wiggle Honda, joined by her teammate in Wiggle Honda, Danny King of Great Britain. She's in this lineup. Also in here is Yumari Gonzalez of Cuba, twice gold medalist in 2009 and 2007. The last two World Championship scratch races have been won by Katarzyna Pawlowska of Poland. She's in the field. And mix in a little bit more element of surprise from any one of these riders who are all fantastic competitors. The likes of Caroline Ryan, Ashley Akudinoff of Australia, the silver medalist in the team pursuit in 2013. And you are looking at what should be an absolutely fantastic race here. So 10 riders line up at the blue band, 10 riders line up at the fence. 40 laps of the track, and there isn't anything more simple. You will see, I'm sure, lots of attacks. Riders trying to take a lap. There is Giorgio Bronzini behind her. On the down at the bottom of the track is lining up behind her Ashley Akudinoff of Australia. Getting ready to see their first bunch race of the night. On the right-hand side in the green there is Caroline Ryan from Ireland. Ryan getting ready off the start then. So 20 riders on the track. Keep an eye on the action. Riders can, of course, take laps, and when they do, or if they do, then we will update you as to what the standings are. But a nice steady grouping as everyone gets ready. The gun will go when they come round this time, and then we will get this race underway. 40 laps of racing, 10 kilometres, 6.2 miles for those of you who want that translated into miles. And we'll see who makes the first move. On the front from Poland is Katarzyna Pawlowska, twice world champion. Can she get a hat-trick of victories? Followed there by Giorgio Bronzini in the Azzurri blue of Italy. Bronzini with the black and orange helmet there of her Wiggle Honda team. Tactics are always interesting. Do you try and go on the attack and take a little group away? Do you just stay in and wait for the sprint? The Malaysian rider there in the gold colours hits the front. That is Jufa Somnet. Behind her is the Ukrainian rider. That'll be Tetiana Klimchenko. There she is, wearing number 287. Behind her is the rider from Great Britain, Danny King, the world and Olympic champion in the team pursuit. Third in this race in 2011, when she was just really emerging as a rider that people were starting to notice. And now Danny King has done pretty much everything. She's been an Olympic champion, she's been a world champion, she rides on the road as a teammate of Giorgio Bronzini. For those of you who are Australian fans, in here Ashley Akudinoff from New South Wales, her 5th World Championships. She rode her first World Championships back in 2009, was a team pursuit world champion in Ballarat in 2010, and has also taken 2 bronze medals, of course, in world championships. So Ashley Akudinov holding the hopes of Australia here in this 40-lap race. There is Caroline Ryan in the green and white. I saw her earlier on in the track centre. Gave me a little smile and said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yep, I'm ready." And her team think she is absolutely motoring, has got her preparation absolutely right. Been training over in Mallorca and has now been over here in Cali for around about just over a week now, getting acclimatised, and it does take a little bit of time. I, of course, haven't acclimatised at all. I flew in last night, having flown London, Madrid, Bogota, Cali. It was a long time on a plane, but the time schedule is 5 hours different to what I'm used to, but we're doing all right. You can see the flags in the background there. The wind has switched around again. It's now a tailwind down the back straight, and a little bit of crosswind in the home straight here. Hitting the front is the Belgian rider, that's Kelly Druyts. And now we see the first attack of the night, and that is Jamila Mashakova of the Czech Republic, the world champion in the points race in 2013, decides that she wants to get a little bit of an acceleration going on. Just seen a tweet from the team manager of Wiggle Honda, looking pretty nervous for her team in here. Bronzini and Danny King. Caroline Ryan hits the front. Other, of course, professional teams represented by some of these riders, and we will pick them out as they continue around the track. And women's racing this year will get, of course, the added boost of television coverage in the World Cups, as Ryan and Bronzini just test out the rest of the riders. It's the Spanish rider, Liri Oliveira, who's trying to shut the gap. So does Danny King, as the Malaysian rider goes to the bottom of the track. 10 laps completed. Well, thanks very much for all your messages. At Antlercrossing is the Twitter over the next few days. If you're joining me for all the action, I'll do my very best to answer your questions and keep things entertained. I just saw an attack starting to happen across the top of the track there, and I think it was a British jersey. No, it was a German jersey. So the German rider now is testing out the rest of the field. This is Stephanie Pohl, who you don't want to let go. She's a rapid rider, a real emerging talent. Won the World Cup points classification overall in the Omnium as well. And she really is motoring. She won the World Cup points race in Aguascalientes, and she is pretty rapid on the track. Stephanie Pohl of Germany, trying now to break away to be the first rider to take the lap. Can she do that? Accelerating well, great cadence, looks very, very good on a bike. Stephanie Pohl opening up the gap, but on the front of the peloton, just trying to shut things up now. A couple of teams, a couple of riders represented at the front, and Pohl gritting her teeth. It's really tough. You can glance across now and then. You'll see the flag. She's right on the front of the saddle, and it's Caroline Ryan of Ireland who goes to the front, tracked immediately by the French rider Laurie Berton. 23 laps of racing to go, as Stephanie Pohl desperately would have wanted a little bit of assistance. It's so hard out on this track that it's not like riding totally on the road, but you never have the different atmospheres to contend with in indoor tracks. I was talking to Chris Hoy about it earlier, I've mentioned it already, but he said, you know, in London they have everything nailed in the Olympics, so that you shut one airlock door before you opened another one, so that things were so sterile for every single team, not just the British team. He said we didn't let that happen. It was every single team. No matter what happened, it was sterile conditions. Here, you're against the elements, and the elements are having a little bit of a play in whether you can actually be a rider, who can attack and break away. It's always good to have someone with you. 21 laps to go, and still Stephanie Pohl is holding on. Well, that cadence really is slowing down, and it's the Italian rider, Giorgia Bronzini, who had accelerated a little bit. She brings it back, and Stephanie Pohl decided that she is not going to tire herself out anymore. So she goes to the top of the track, the brake is nullified, and everyone looks around at each other. Davison goes to the front. King looks around at everybody. 18 laps to go. On the front, the Spanish rider, Leri Oliveira, in the red, yellow and black. Tracked there by Kelly Druyts of Belgium. So if you're supporting the Belgians, 24 years of age, Kelly Druyts, a bronze medalist in this discipline in 2012. She's riding quite an interesting race here. She's not making any major moves. She is now and then just going to the front to take a little look at what's going on. But she's been a medalist before. On the front now, it's a double world champion. Tracked by Laurie Berton. Bronzini, will she unleash that punishing sprint that she has at the end of this race to take the gold medal for Italy? We haven't seen anything of the Australian rider so far, but right on cue. She goes to the front and tracks Caroline Ryan. It's Ashley Akudnoff. Good to hide in this group and not show too much with the initial laps and just track the wheels, stay in the slipstream. Danny King goes to the top of the track as Ashley Akudnoff decides to swing up as well. She's quite happy to stay in the wheels. 3 medals in World Championships for the Australians. Getting a bit of an attack now, and it's the Colombian who attacks off the front, and if the crowd are going to help her, then she'll win the gold medal, because they're going absolutely wild behind me now. The Colombian rider, Johnny Salcedo, tucked over the bars, keeping the cadence high, being joined now by the Russian rider, who is racing across, Kristina, who is a bronze medalist in 2013. A good move here, because the Colombian will absolutely commit to this, and Ruminita's trying to decide, does she go for gold or does she not? The reaction comes from Malaysia. Now the Ukrainian rider trying to go across, and the Colombian rider is burying herself to try and stay away. 11 laps to go. Suddenly, the action has been ignited. 2 riders as the music is pumped up as well, combining at the front. Here in Cali, the Colombian fans want gold, and now the reaction comes from the double world champion from Poland. A little group starting to break away with about 6 riders in it. Laurie Berton of France is in here, but the Colombian rider still maintaining the pace at the front, and he's going away. She looks around, there is no one with her. Ruminita shuts the gap, and the Russian is unable to go with them. 9 laps of racing to go. Ryan tows Danny King across, and the Colombian rider sits up. Is there going to be a counter-attack? Ryan looks around, she sees Danny King on her wheel. King looks around to see on her wheel the double world champion from Cuba, Yumari Gonzalez. She's ridden an intelligent race so far. She has not put her nose in the wind until now. And now, stalemate, 8 laps to go. Here goes the reaction, and Stephanie Pohl goes. She is immediately joined by Danny King. On the wheel is Kelly Druyts. Behind her is the Spanish rider. That is Leri Oliveira. And suddenly again everyone looks around. The American rider in here is Jennifer Valente, who has just sat in the wheel. 7 laps of racing to go. If this comes down to a bunch sprint, you would put your money on Giorgia Bronzini to win the gold. Caroline Ryan goes to the front again for Ireland, joined by Kelly Druyts. Ryan has done this before in races and managed to clinch a medal. 6 laps of racing to go. Who is going to take gold, the first gold medal of the night, as Ryan really turns the pressure on. And Kelly Druyts is a very good road rider as well. A great emerging talent goes with her. 5 laps to go. Is this the move that's going to take the medals? Suddenly everyone looks around at each other. They're all saying, well, I'm not going to take up the mantle. 5 laps to go as Ryan absolutely buries herself now. Puts in the cadence. Kelly Druyts. This is the first attack where we've seen 2 riders able to go for it. 4 laps to go. Ryan is unable to stay on the wheel of Kelly Druyts. Druyts is looking very strong now. The Belgian rider looking around. She's won the bronze medal before. She is going for gold. 3 laps of racing to go for Kelly Druyts. Ryan is clawing her way back, holding on to the silver medal position. Who is going to take gold? Is Kelly Druyts going to? The cadence is still high. She looks across. Not long now. 2 laps to go. Ryan is still there. Is the reaction going to come from the peloton? It is starting to happen. Of sight of the cameras. Kelly Druyts been urged on now. She has got 1 lap to go now. Is she going to do it? The peloton are absolutely motoring behind her. But she's got 250 metres to take the gold medal. What an attack by Kelly Druyts. Caroline Ryan is just holding on to silver, but suddenly the action comes from the peloton. Kelly Druyts is into the final turn. Is she going to do it? I think she's going to hold on. She is going to hold on. She is the world champion. She takes it. In second place is going to be the Polish rider, the double world champion. But what a performance from the Belgian rider. She timed that absolutely perfectly. She takes the gold medal for Belgium. That was a stunning race. The world champion is Kelly Druyts of Belgium. She translates the Belgian bronze medal from a couple of years ago to the gold tonight. That was a thrilling finale. She shakes her head, but she has taken the gold. She sits up, she will get the rainbow bands later on. I'm just waiting for the confirmed result. It was Pavlovska in second place, I thought so. Romanowita takes third place for Russia. Behind them is the American Valenti in fourth, Burton in fifth, Oliveira in sixth, Yumeri Gonzalez in 7th, Danny King in 8th, Bronzini in 9th place for Italy. And behind them, we'll run through the rest of the placings later. There's the run-through of second and third places. Kelly Druyts had time to look up. Caroline Ryan finished somewhere down the field in 14th. She gave it everything, the Irish rider, but Druyts was the one who had those stronger legs at the finish. Well, I said it was going to be a thrilling race. The field lined up to say that. She rode a very clever race. She followed the wheels. She didn't really put her nose in the wind until she had to. And when she needed to, she put the hammer down, and that was it. Full gas, left Ryan, took the gold. There's confirmation then of the result. Druyts takes gold, Pavlovska takes silver, Romanowita takes the bronze, and a great performance by an unknown Jennifer Valenti for the United States of America in 4th place. Well, I'm thinking back to the last Belgian gold medalist. I think it's quite a while for women's racing. I don't think she can quite believe it. That was a perfectly executed attack by Kelly Druyts. Looking across then the track, here's the rundown of the results. There's your top 7. Yumeri Gonzalez in 7th place. She's a double gold medalist. She's also taken silver on 2 occasions. There's the rundown of the next 7. Ryan so close, just those legs tying up. Bronzini and King finishing side by side. There's your top 19. Ashley Kudnov making up the 19, and the Malaysian rider Somnet didn't finish. What's coming up then, you ask yourselves, I'm sure, because we've got a lot of action to come. Big smiles from Kelly Druyts. Next on the agenda tonight then is going to be the men's team pursuit. Don't disappear, it's going to be great racing. We'll see Kelly Druyts on the podium later on when she is awarded her rainbow bands. Get ready then for the men's team pursuit. We have the ride-off for the bronze medal first, and then the ride-off for the gold. I must admit, I've been seeing Kelly Druyts' performances getting better and better this season, and I just had a feeling that she was going to get a medal today. I could see her in that peloton, just riding carefully, staying out of any trouble. But let's turn our attention now to team pursuit, and this is the lineup for the bronze and silver and gold medals. We're going to see Russia go against New Zealand, Denmark go against Australia. Just to give you a rundown then of the qualification earlier on today, it was Denmark who qualified fastest in a time of 4 minutes 00176. Australia was second fastest, just outside that time, 4:1.516, followed by Russia, followed by New Zealand. The big surprise really of the day was the performance of Great Britain, who were down in 8th place. Only the second time since 2000 that Great Britain have not been in a final to ride off for a gold or silver or bronze medal. Down to really a very young team for Great Britain, but they were still expected to maybe be there with a chance of the bronze. So we are seeing here the Russians against the New Zealanders, and this should be a good tussle, I think, for this medal. 4,000 metres, the time, of course, taken on the third rider across the line. And the New Zealand squad getting themselves ready. So if you've never seen a team pursuit before, I know many of you, of course, will have 4 riders on the track. You ride in line formation. You take turns at the front to keep the pace as high as possible. If you can, you finish with 4 riders. If not, you must finish with 3. 4,000 metres, flat out. And here we go. Here's the start then underway, and it is Russia in the home straight and New Zealand on the other side of the track. Russia finished in 4 minutes 1.615 in qualification. The team is Artur Urshov, Evgeny Kovalev, Ivan Kovalev and Alexander Serov. For those of you supporting New Zealand, they qualified 4:02.056. A great team here. They, of course, have been bronze medalists in 2010 and 2009, but New Zealand looking like they have a strong track squad here for these World Championships. The team made up of Aaron Gate, Peter Bulling, Dylan Kennett and Mark Ryan going for the team for New Zealand. All black, little touch of white, of course, but I think they look superb on the bikes. We'll get an idea at the 1,000-metre point, see what the translation of speed is. The world record won't be beaten here. 3:51.659 set by Great Britain in London in the Olympic Games. In this outdoor track, there's no way that is going to go. I'm being told it's an indoor-outdoor track, but it's certainly pretty much outdoors in terms of its atmosphere. So through the 1,000 metres, New Zealand are fastest, just in a time of 1:37.86. And we'll see what sort of schedule they're on later. Just switching up the track. And as the coaches have mentioned to me before, technically really hard to hold your line here. You see the teams wavering around a little. Russia 0.332 down at this point. And this New Zealand team are looking good. Going for bronze to try and add to the 2009 and 2010 bronze medals. Russia with Urshov, Kovalev and Serov. They'll have to try and motor a little bit. They are second on the track right now, but they're still within touching distance. Going through the 2,000 metre point in 2 minutes 1.555 for New Zealand. They are still, now looks to me like they've changed to a one-lap strategy. The rider on the front doing a massive turn to try and pull the pace out a little bit. New Zealand still looking good. The New Zealanders are fastest on this track, visibly faster now, as they go through 2:7:50 and 2:44. Ahead of the Russian team, look a bit ragged there, the Russians. The pace down that back straight, really difficult to gauge. And now New Zealand lose a rider as they go through 3,000 metres in just under 3 minutes, 2:59.956, and suddenly the New Zealanders have accelerated in 2:59.418, and the last rider in the team dived right down the banking there. As we lose the teams a little bit with the camera, here we go. Heading up towards the completion of this race, and it is New Zealand who are still fastest on the track, but the Russians coming back a little bit. 3:28.942, 1:350. No, the Russians are going away again. New Zealand are going for the bronze medal. Are they going to take it? It looks to me like as long as they don't make a mistake, then they will get the bronze. They take the bell. They are visibly ahead now of Russia. They've just got to get this last little bit right, and then they will take the bronze. They have beaten the Russian team. There's a little bit of pain now going on with the last rider in the group there. That's Aaron Gate. Crossing the line now. They take the bronze. 3:58.989 for the New Zealand team. Under 4 minutes on this track is good. 3:58.989 for New Zealand. Great performance. They will be on the podium later on. And for all the New Zealand fans, you can be happy now. You've got a bronze medal on the first night of competition. With Aaron Gate, Peter Boone, Dylan Kennett and Mark Ryan with a great performance against the Russians. So here's the replays then of the New Zealand team as they make their way around the track. Didn't they look good? 3:58.989 on a slightly outdoor track is a good time. Some of you asked me what these little foam bits are around the bottom of the track when we see a pursuit. Well, they lay them out because the teams are supposed to stay on that black, what we call the gauge line. That's how you measure the track. Around that black line is pretty much exactly 250 metres. At the top of the track can be anything up to about 270, 275, something like that. That black line is exactly where the track is measured. And to stop the team pursuiters dropping down the banking onto the Côte d'Azur, the blue bit that we call it, the little foam bits are put out. Right, this is the ride for the gold medal. So if you are a fan of Denmark or a fan of Australia, here we go. The Australians were second fastest in qualification, but they have such a good team here. Out of the start then, for 6 years running, Australia have won a medal in the team pursuit. Can they make it 7? Lucky 7 for Australia. Denmark were champions of the team pursuit in 2009. The Australian team then, Glenn O'Shea, Alexander Edmondson, Mitchell Mulhern, Miles Scotson, the Danish squad, Kasper van Folsak, Lassie Norman Hansen, who rides now for the Garmin Shark team, Rasmus Kwalder, the under-23 world champion, silver medalist in the time trial, and Alex Rasmussen, good road professionals in this Danish team. So the Australian squad trying to line things up to take their 7th medal in 7 years. Glenn O'Shea, the world champion in the team pursuit and the Omnium previously. Alexander Edmondson, of course, last year. The world champion in Minsk in the team pursuit. Mitchell Mulhern, his first world championships from Queensland. Miles Scotson also, first world championships, a personal best of 4:21.5 in the individual pursuit. As we go through the opening 1,000 metres, and it is Denmark who qualified fastest earlier on today, who are fastest through the 1,000 metres. Have Australia decided to ride to a different schedule and accelerate later? All down to the coaches there in the centre of the track to decide with the team how they're going to ride, what the schedule is going to be. They walk the line. They try and make sure that the team is right on track as to where they are. And as you can see, Australia now 0.261 down as we head towards the 2,000 metre point. Denmark still looking fastest. Through the 2,000 metres, and it's Australia 0.414 down. It's still nip and tuck between these teams. Denmark in 2 minutes 0.230. Australia 0.4 behind. Australia coming back a little bit now. So that tells us, has the coach of Australia said to them, we ride the first 2,000 metres within our capabilities, we put Denmark into a full sense of security, and then we start to motor. That's what it looks like they have done, but now they lose a rider quite early. 0.046, a big turn being done there by that Australian rider to leave 3 riders on the track. Denmark have got the strength in numbers as they go through now. Denmark are about to lose a rider as well. So it is down to 3 against 3. And it is these riders now going for gold. Racing around the track. Who is going to take the gold medal? Australia now go ahead. Look at this. They have tied it back. They are managing now to pull things out of the bag here. Who is going to take it? Is it going to be Australia? Is it going to be Denmark? 500 metres of racing to go. This is going to be a thrilling climax. Denmark are all over the place. They are losing the wheels. With 1 lap to go, it is Australia who are ahead of Denmark, who now are completely shattered. Australia heading up towards the completion of this ride. Are they going to take the gold medal? They rode the 2,000 metres nice and steady. Now they're going to hit the line. They take the gold. Australia taking it 3:57.907. The fastest ride we've seen in the team pursuit during qualification and tonight. And whilst it looked like Denmark had them pegged all the way through the 2,000 metre point, suddenly Australia put the gas in and they take the gold medal. A shake of the head there from Mitchell Mulhern, but they've done it. Now the crowd have loved this as they go cruising around the track. So the Australian team powering their way through there. They looked so strong in the final 2,000 metres. There wasn't really the opportunity for anyone to come back at them. Racing up towards the finish. and they look very, very strong as they hit the line. Well, if you are a fan of the Australian squads, they never disappoint, do they? Racing around that track, setting the pace exactly to what they needed to do. And there's a little bit of emotion now here in the track centre as they realise they've done it. And it is Mitchell Mulhern who's in some tears there. All the emotion being let out. All the hard work has paid off. Well, they will stand on the top step of the podium later on. And now all the congratulations between the team. Denmark, that was painful, wasn't it? I don't think they can quite believe it. They seem to get it right for the opening 2,000 metres. I must just mention, of course, Australia at the last minute made a change and they put Luke Davison into the team. Completely different to the published team that we had. So I just must tidy that up for you, and I apologise for getting it wrong on the start. But when they came to the start, we were told that Glenn O'Shea was still in the team, but they, of course, swapped to Luke Davison at the last minute. So he is in there. And Lassie Hansen can hardly even stand. It's so humid in here. But in qualification, the Australians had O'Shea, Edmondson, Mulhern and Scottson. And they swapped in Luke Davison at the last minute to add a little bit of fresh legs into the equation. And that has given them the gold medal, combined with the team tactics that they got absolutely right there. What a thrilling race. Well, thank you to all of you for your messages, your tweets and everything else. It's great to hear from you. At Macrossan is where you can get hold of me over the next few days. And as we look across the track then, coming up later will be the women's team sprint finals and the men's team sprint finals. We have, of course, got victory ceremonies, and next on the agenda should be the women's scratch race victory ceremony, which will bring you as soon as it's underway. And we're going to hear from the winner of the women's scratch race, Kelly Druyts, who timed her attack to absolute perfection.
Kelly, congrats. How do you feel?
Thank you. It was a dream before the start to get a world champion, and now it's come true, so it's very nice.
Yeah, in 2012 you did bronze. Now you are a champion. What's the difference?
Last year I don't race on the track because I want to get stronger on the road, and it will be good now. You see a good result, so I like it.
This season in the World Cup, you were not very great, but finally you decided you could do the world champion.
Yes, it was everything or nothing, and I decided on 6 laps of the end to go with a Irish girl, and 3 laps on the end I was alone. I have to go alone farther, and it was a good decision.
So I guess you're very, very happy.
Yes, I can't believe it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice to hear from Kelly Druyts there. And just to tidy up on the swap out of Australia, for those of you who want to know what happened, I knew that Davison had swapped in, and the rider they swapped out, thanks to Scott McGrory, by the way, for that. Miles Scottson was the rider they swapped out at the last minute. So we're waiting now for the victory ceremony of the women's scratch race. And I can hear the fanfare in the background, so we'll turn our attention to the medal presentation. The first one of these championships here in Cali, the home of salsa dancing. And the medals here will be presented to our three medal winners.
The UCI World Champions jersey will be presented by the member of the management committee of the Union Cycliste International, José Manuel Peláez.
Las medallas y las camisetas de los ganadores serán entregados por el miembro del comité de la Unión Ciclística Internacional, Dr. José Manuel
Peláez.
Peláez.
Championships, then the winner of
the bronze medal representing Russia.
With the
el ganador de la medalla de bronce representa a Rusia,
Evgenia Romanyuta.
And in bronze medal position from Russia is Evgenia Romanyuta. Bronze medalist in 2013, bronze medalist again in 2014.
Winner of the silver medal representing Poland.
el ganador de la medalla de plata representa a Polonia,
Katarzyna Pawlowska.
And the back-to-back world champion in the last 2 years, we see Pawlowska of
The
Poland.
UCI Track Cycling World Championships Women's Scratch 10-kilometer gold medalist and winner of the UCI World Champions jersey representing Belgium,
la ganadora de la medalla de oro en la prueba Mujeres Scratch 10 kilómetros del Campeonato Mundial de Ciclismo de Pista y ganadora de la camiseta de la UCI, representa a Bélgica,
Kelly Druyts.
Cali Druyts takes the gold medal and the world title. The 24-year-old from Belgium took a bronze medal in 2012. She didn't ride the track in 2013, but she's come back strong to take the world title. All smiles from Cali Druyts.
The flowers will be presented by the national president of Coldeportes, Andrés Botero.
Las flores serán presentadas por el presidente de Coldeportes Nacional, Andrés Botero.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of Belgium.
Damas y caballeros, el himno nacional de Bélgica.
Ladies and gentlemen, please
Belgium
acknowledge
take
all
the
our
first world
medalists.
title.
Damas y caballeros, un aplauso por favor para todas nuestras medallistas.
Well, as Kelly Druyts gets the photographs taken holding the gold medal and wearing the rainbow jersey. Next up will be the women's team sprint final, so we're going to get ready for that. She doesn't do, oh, she decides to do the traditional bite the gold medal photograph that we always see. The women's team sprint then. It's going to be the bronze medal ride-off between Great Britain and Russia, and Germany and China going for gold. The women's team sprint, of course, we saw it earlier on, where we saw the two riders on the track racing to try and set the fastest times.
We will have the final round.
So it's going to be Great Britain,
team sprint,
who are going to be against Russia.
For the bronze medal,
Jess Varnish and Rebecca James against Elena Brezhneva and Anastasia Voinova.
Señoras y señores, a continuación, la prueba.
Last year we saw Rebecca James take the bronze medal with Vix Williamson.
Gran Bretaña se enfrentará a Rusia.
The Chinese pairing last year was Ji Gong and Chuang Guo. They're not riding this time, a completely different Chinese team, but they've still got themselves in the silver and gold medal ride-off. And of course last year we saw Kristina Vogel and Miriam Welte take the gold. They're going to go for gold again tonight. Varnish on the right hand side, James on the left hand side. To me, Rebecca James looks a little bit more stressed than she did last year. Last year she didn't really have the expectation of anything. She had she walked away with 4 medals, 2 gold. This time, the expectation, of course, is to try and defend your world title, and that then adds a little bit more to what you're feeling inside. And Jess Varnish just looks like, give me a medal. I want to put London 2012 behind me. It's been a long time. And all I'm interested in is getting on the podium. Rebecca James will be trying to defend her titles as the next few days goes on. Jess Varnish not happy with how her bike is. So Brezhneva and Voinova on the track, getting themselves ready. Varnish is now happier with her bike, so she gets up on the track. Still trying to move the bike across a little bit, Jess Varnish. On the right-hand side, the Russians look ready. First held in 2007, the women's team sprint in Palma de Mallorca. That's where the Irish team tend to train now. It was won by Great Britain, Pendleton, and the BMX rider Sinead Reid. It was the Dutch team in second and Australia in third. And Australia, of course, have won this with Carly McCulloch and Anna Mears. Who's going to take the bronze medal? Out of the start, Varnish puts her feet through those pedals, really puts the power on, and it's Brezhneva who's leading off for Russia, has gone off like a rocket, who's going to lead through the 250 meters. They're coming up towards it now, and it is going to be through the line. It's going to be Russia first in 18.821. So Rebecca James of Britain has got a lot to do, and it's going to be a close one, a really close call here between these teams. Who's going to take it? Oh, right on the line, and it looked to me like Great Britain just got it, just ahead of the time of Russia, 33.032. She had a lot to do over the closing 250. Russia 33.154, and Rebecca James has somehow pulled that one out of the bag. Here's the replay. Varnish went off quick, but it wasn't quick enough. She was 0.16 down on the time of the Russian rider, who went off like an absolute missile. But Rebecca James, cruising round, hit the line there. She takes the bronze medal for Great Britain. She pulled it back, 33.032, an average speed of 54.492. Well, that was very, very impressive. The Russian team really put that one on the line. So now we have a repeat of last year. However, the Chinese team, two totally different riders, but they've still made it into this final. It is the world and Olympic champions, Kristina Vogel and Miriam Welte, against the Chinese team of Lin Juntong and Chong Chan-chi, going now for the gold. Welte and Vogel, the world record holders, 32.153. On paper, Welte and Vogel should win, but this is bike racing, anything can happen. Interestingly, last night when I arrived in Bogota, we were met by the volunteers who've been there greeting hundreds and hundreds of riders and staff through the airport, and asked them who was the one rider that they'd enjoyed meeting, and they said Kristina Vogel. She's so enthusiastic and effervescent. Here we go then. Who's going to take it? It's a head-to-head ride between Germany and China through the opening 250. China look very quick. Who's going to lead? Heading up towards the completion of the lap. And it is Germany who go through, 18.585. That is the fastest time we've seen in this final so far. Heading up towards the completion of the 500 meters, and Kristina Vogel is absolutely motoring. Look at the time. 32.440 for Germany. That is a stunning time for Germany. Bearing in mind we're on a full track pretty much. She is only 0.3 of a second outside her world record time of 32.153. That is a very, very impressive performance from Germany. It was, I think, not a formality they would win the gold. You have to put the performance in on the night. But to produce a time of under 33 seconds and go that close to the world record on this track is incredible. Absolutely stunning by Welte and Vogel. Well, you really have to hand it to the German team. 18.585, the opening 250. And 32.440, that's 55.487 kilometers an hour. Well, they're taking a well-deserved lap of honour, and who would deny them that? That was a thrilling race, and that's very, very quick. They're getting a standing ovation in here. The crowd loved that performance. Kristina Vogel on the left-hand side there. Miriam Welte on the right-hand side. Make sure you grab them and don't let them fall off. Yet another medal for the German team. Kristina Vogel never loses her enthusiasm for bike racing, does she? She absolutely loves it. So we've got a chance here to just enjoy these shots of the German team. We're going to move on shortly to the men's team pursuit victory ceremony. So if you're Australian, no matter where you are in the world, don't disappear. You need to see them take their gold medal and their rainbow bands. Looking across the track then, as we get ready for this presentation, why not hear from the gold medal winners? Here's Australia.
Glenn, congrats. How do you feel?
Yeah, that was amazing. For us, we qualified second, and we weren't 100% sure how we'd go in the final. But we're defending champions, so we weren't going to let that slip easy. And we came out had a really, really good ride in the final, and to come out the win's fantastic.
Were you afraid of the Danes when you see the morning with the qualifiers? They were very good.
Yeah, to be honest, we probably had them as favourite even coming into the event. They've been really strong all year, and they're really coming up. And I think in the next 2 years leading to the Olympics, I reckon they'll be one of the big teams to watch. And after their heat ride, we had a look at it, and we knew they were going to be strong, and they were really hungry. So we had really lift our game as well.
You held strongly to your title. How did you do that?
Sorry?
You held strongly to your title, back to back, 2 years.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard always to win back-to-back titles, and but we trained really hard this year, and. We have two guys, me and Alex Edmondson from last year, so we had 2 new guys, and they were super hungry. Well, 3 new guys, so we rode 5 guys, so they were super, super hungry to win a world title, and I think that was the difference tonight.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear from Glenn O'Shea then, a member of the team in the final. It was Luke Davison, Glenn O'Shea, Alexander Edmondson, Mitchell Mulhern. Their time 3:57.907. In the qualification, they of course had Miles Scottson in his first World Championships. We're getting ready then for the victory ceremony. First medal of the night to Belgium, and the second medal of the night, I know this will be popular, for the Australians. If you're wondering what other racing we're going to bring you tonight, we have just got one more final to bring you, the men's team sprint. And then the final 2 victory ceremonies, and then that's it. 4 medals decided on the first night of racing. $19 medals in total will be presented over the entire time here in Cali. It's still not cooled down very much. It's pretty warm out here. There they are waiting for their medals. And if you're a New Zealander, of course, stay around. Here they go. They're going to get their medals too. A great performance from the Southern Hemisphere.
Men's team pursuit.
Damas y caballeros,
Lucky 7
la
for
ceremonia de
Australia in a
premiación del
row.
Campeonato Mundial
They
de
have
Ciclismo
had
de Pista UCI.
now medals in the last 7 World Team Pursuit Championships.
The medals and UCI World Champions jersey will be presented by member of the Management Committee of the Union Cycliste Internationale, Peter Pedersen.
Las medallas y las camisetas de los ganadores serán entregadas por el miembro del Comité de la Unión Ciclística Internacional, Peter Pedersen.
It's quite a busy
Winners
podium
of the
then as we
bronze
wait for
medal,
this
New
presentation.
Zealand.
And
Los
because the
ganadores de la medalla
Australians
de bronce
had
representan a
that
Nueva
swap of
Zelanda.
Davison for the final,
Aaron
Scotland
Gate,
of course will get a medal, so
Peter
the Australians have all 5 riders
Dylan
there.
Kennett and Mark
New
Ryan.
Zealand then being presented with the bronze medal. Aaron Gate, Peter Burling, Dylan Kennett and Mark Ryan. Their time 3:58.989.
Winners of the silver medal representing Denmark.
The Danish
Los
squad then.
ganadores de la medalla de plata representan a Dinamarca.
Casper von Folsack, Lasse Hansen, Rasmus Kvader and Alex Rasmussen. Their time 3:59.623.
The UCI Track
And now we wait for the Australian team to step onto the top step of the podium.
And winners of the UCI World Champions jersey representing
They've gone 4 seconds quicker in the final than they went in qualification. So the world champions, Luke Davison, Glenn O'Shea, Alexander Edmondson, Mitchell Mulhern and Miles Scotson.
Miles Scotson, Luke Davison, Glenn O'Shea, Alexander Edmondson and Mitchell Mulhern.
Sometimes get asked about those skin suits, the zips all pulled down in that V so that they're so tight, these skin suits that they wear, that when they're down in that aero tuck, nice and aerodynamic. But the rainbow bands, well, tomorrow morning they can wake up world champions. Still some work to do for some of these riders who will be competing in other disciplines through the next few days. But all the training, all that hard work, all those hours on the track going round and round and round, the hours in the gym trying to get the power up have all paid off. Australia now world champions. Oops. Not quite getting on that top step. There we go. Right, there they are. And we will, any moment now, have the
by the
national
Vice
anthem
President of the
of
Colombian
Australia.
Olympic Committee, Ciro Solano.
Las flores serán presentadas por el vicepresidente del Comité Olímpico Colombiano, Ciro Solano.
First of all, we just get all the flowers presented. Don't go away then, because we have the last final of the night, the men's team sprint. That's coming up soon. Always a long victory ceremony, isn't it? The men's team pursuit, so many riders.
Ladies and gentlemen,
so now we have the national anthem of Australia.
Damas y caballeros, a continuación el himno nacional de Australia.
Please acknowledge all our medalists.
Damas y caballeros, un aplauso sentido, por favor.
The world champions Australia. Denmark take the silver medal, New Zealand take the bronze.
Coming up, we have the final round for the men's team sprint final.
Señoras y señores,
the usual photographs then being taken. You think about riders in this team who are riding first World Championships, that gives Australia real hope for Rio 2016. And I can imagine, I know what the British coaches will be thinking as they look on this and thinking, right, we've got some work to do now. Let's turn our attention then to the men's team sprint. The finals are coming up. The bronze medal ride-off between Russia and France, and it's Germany and New Zealand going for gold. The French team getting ready. The Russians on the other side of the track. It's Pavel Yakushevsky, Denis Dmitriev and Nikita Shershin. For Russia, here for France will be Gregory Boget, Kevin Sirot, Michael Dalmeida. The French team, real firepower in here. Kevin Sirot. He set the world record of 200 metres in 2009, a time of 9.572. He's a very strong rider in that middle section. Michael Dalmeida, world champion previously in the team sprint. He's right up there at the top of the track. Both teams safely in the blocks. Boget just trying to get his bike ready. You can see there. You notice sometimes you don't see the guys standing on the start gate there, but they have to because there's so much power from these guys. Here we go. Quickly the start gate will get pulled away, and then we'll see which team go through the 250 fastest. Russia with Yakushevsky leading off. Denis Dmitriev will take over as the French now race round. It looks to me like Russia are just fastest. 17.234 for Russia, 17.506 for France. France, though, have got Michael Dalmeida at the end of the string. Here we go. France are still 0.243 down. Are Russia going to take the bronze? It is Dalmeida heading now to try and take the bronze medal as he accelerates hard, hitting the line. Oh, that was very, very close. It was Russia, I think, no, France get it. 43.285, an average speed of 62.377 kilometers an hour. And somehow Dalmeida found some gas from somewhere, and he cruises back to take the bronze medal. For so much of that race, it looked like Russia were going to take it. Here we go, out of the start, it's Vogel who gets started, and not a very clean start. Took him a little while to get on top of the gear. Following then was Kevin Sirot, always strong in that second 250, but Russia was still fastest. They were under 30 seconds, 29.949, but Dalmeida powered back. 43.285 at the finish. They take the bronze. The final coming up. Don't go away. Can New Zealand take the gold medal against the team who are the world champions? Defending their title then are the German squad. Rennie Enders, Robert Forsterman, Maximilian Levy. Two of these riders were the gold medalists last year. The New Zealanders took the silver medal last year. Ethan Mitchell, Sam Webster, Ed Dawkins. It's exactly the same team. Can they now take the gold? And the New Zealanders go blasting out of the start. An absolutely perfect start by the looks of things. Who is going to take this? This is going to be an interesting tussle between these two squads. You kind of get the sense that New Zealand think it could be theirs. Heading up to the completion of the 250. Germany are quickest, 17.227. And compared to 17.248, it's still very close. It's only 0.21 of a second between the two teams. Heading up to 500, Germany still lead. 29.827, still New Zealand behind in the silver medal position. It is these two riders now head-to-head. Dawkins trying to win this one for New Zealand. Who's going to take it on the line? Oh, it's very, very close, and I think New Zealand might have taken it. New Zealand have taken it. 42.840. It's a gold medal for New Zealand. They got it back. Somehow they picked it back in the last 250. They were behind for 500, and it was Ed Dawkins who found that little extra bit of throttle, and he takes the gold medal with the squad from New Zealand. Look at that. They just had that sense that they felt that they could take it tonight, and they just powered their way out of the start. It was a perfect start from Ethan Mitchell. He just got out of the blocks so fast. New Zealand are the world champions in the team sprint. Here's the start, look at that. He goes right on the beat, powering his way off the start. And then they got the ride absolutely right. They were right on the wheels all the way through. The Germans led, they were the world champions. But right on the line, he came back to take it. 42.840 compared to 42.885. Well, if you're a New Zealander, get the party started. They absolutely smashed the last 250. What a stunning race. Well, in team sprinting, you have to get it right. You've got to get the start right. You've got to make sure that the second place rider is as close to that wheel as possible. And then the third man has got to have something left to find a little bit of extra throttle. And that's what they did. These guys are going to celebrate. In qualification they rode strongly, but in the final they found that extra something which gave them the gold. They're going to get the rainbow bands. Don't disappear, we're going to have the podium presentations, and then we've got another few nights of racing here in Cali in Colombia. Thank you very much for everyone for joining me. If you want to ask questions for me to talk about over the next few days, if you are joining me, @AntMcCrossan is my Twitter feed, and I'll try and answer some of your questions. Here's the final classification though in the men's team sprint. Men's team sprint then, New Zealand take the gold, Germany take the silver, France take the bronze. It was Russia in 4th, Britain in 5th, and Australia in 6th place.
Kristina, hi, and congratulations, but you look very tired, actually.
There was 2 times and two rounds. Hey, come on, it's hard, huh? So I think everybody understands how I'm now a bit tired, but I'm really happy with the day. It was a good, perfect day, and to defend the world title, it's just pretty good in this field, so I can't describe it at the moment. It's just amazing.
Miriam, were you afraid of the Chinese?
Not really afraid. We knew that they have trained good, but our training was good as well. I did PB in training last week, and I know it can go fast, and Kristina also. So we had a really good start here, and we're so happy.
And you had a great season actually in the World Cup as well.
Yeah, of course, really it was the first season that I had to really step forward and do some personal best, and but the other thing is that with that season, everyone accepted that we win and that I win the sprint in Akira, but it isn't that easy that everybody thinks. So, but today we are happy. We're happy to get our medal, and now see from day to day what will happen. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Kristina Vogel and Miriam Welte, just smiling away to take the gold medal there. We're going to move on then to the team sprint medal ceremony. Following this, we'll have the medal ceremony for the men's team sprint. Just looking at Germany's opening 1:25, they went through 125 meters from a standing start in 11:436 against China's 11:877, and they just got quicker. So the ceremony.
Medal ceremony for the UCI Track Cycling World Championship.
Kristina Vogel still in her cycling shoes.
Damas y caballeros, la
Let's hope she
ceremonia de
doesn't slip.
del Campeonato Mundial de Ciclismo Pista UCI en la prueba de velocidad de equipos mujeres.
The medals and UCI World Champions jerseys will be presented by a member of the Management Committee of the International Cycling Union, José Manuel Peláez.
Las medallas y las camisetas de los ganadores serán entregados por el miembro del Comité de la Unión Ciclista Internacional, Dr. José Manuel Peláez.
Winners of the bronze medal
then to Great Britain.
Representing Great Britain.
Jess Varnish and Rebecca James follow up the bronze medal of last year of James and Williamson.
Jessica Varnish and Rebecca James.
Winners from Bromsgrove in Worcestershire in the UK.
China.
Las ganadoras de las medallas de plata representan a China.
Varnish has won a silver medal before in the World Championships in the team sprint in 2011 in Apeldoorn. As we look here at the silver medalists from China, Lin Junhong and Song Chang-chi.
The UCI Track Cycling World Championships Women's Team Sprint medalists and winners of the UCI World Champions jersey representing Germany.
Las ganadoras de la medalla de oro en la prueba de los equipos mujeres del Campeonato Mundial de Ciclismo de Pista, UCI, y las ganadoras de la camiseta del campeonato representan a Alemania.
The gold medals then go to Miriam, Welte and Kristina Vogel. Pulling on the rainbow bands again, and as Vogel said, it's always difficult to defend your title. She's an effervescent individual, isn't she? The gold medalists, the world champions, Miriam Welte and Kristina Vogel.
By the mayor of Santiago de Cali, Rodrigo Guerrero.
Las flores serán presentadas por el señor alcalde de Santiago de Cali, médico Rodrigo Guerrero.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of
And we now have the national anthem of Germany.
please acknowledge all our medalists.
Por favor, un fuerte aplauso para todas nuestras medallistas.
There's a podium then, Great Britain with bronze, China with silver, Germany yet again with the gold medal. So we've got one more victory ceremony to go. That is the men's team sprint. All smiles with the gold medals. Well, we're going to see Kristina Vogel certainly race during the next few days here in Cali. Looking across this track, which is a great structure, isn't it? Well, we had that magnificent men's team sprint competition, so I think we should hear from one of the members of the New Zealand team.
Hi Sam, congratulations. That was a fantastic ride.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a hard few years for us. 2012 we were bronze, and then last year we qualified first, but we couldn't capitalise on a good qualification and we had silver. So this year means a lot to us. We've been working very hard. It's a new year, we have a new coach, and yeah, we've been working very hard, and this has made it all worth it.
After 2 laps you were behind the Germans. How did you do finally to win?
Oh, it was a very tight race the whole way through. There was only a couple of hundredths along the whole way, and I think Eddie Dawkins brought it home for us. He was the one that really pulled the cat out of the bag, and power to the big fella. He was the one that won the race for us.
And beating the Germans is definitely something great.
Yeah, they're one of our very close rivals. Sprinting's so close between all the nations, the top 6-7 nations. But the Germans, they got one up on us last year, and it was nice to have a rematch again this year and have our team sprint revenge.
Thank you very much.
The men's team sprint victory ceremony coming up to end the night. Lots more racing tomorrow from here in Cali. Everyone's gone out salsa dancing now. They're going to wait for this victory
Ladies
ceremony.
and gentlemen, the medal ceremony for the UCI Track Cycling World Championship Men's Team Sprint.
Damas y caballeros, la ceremonia de premiación del Campeonato Mundial de Ciclismo de Pista UCI, prueba, velocidad por equipos, hombres.
So it's the same countries, just in a different order. This time, up here on the podium for the medal presentation.
Peter Peterson.
Las medallas y las camisas de los ganadores serán entregadas por el miembro del Comité de la Unión Ciclista Internacional, Peter Peterson.
Winners of the bronze medal representing France.
Los ganadores de las medallas de bronce representan a Francia.
Gregory Bau, Kevin Sido.
The French team then on to the third step of the podium. Gregory Bauget, Kevin Siro, Michael Dalmeida.
Winners of the silver medal representing Germany.
Los ganadores
the
de las
German
medallas
team
de
then, Ronnie
plata
Enders, Robert
representan
Forsterman,
a
Maximilian
Alemania.
Levy. They take the silver. They were the gold medalists last year.
Robert Forsterman,
It looked like they were going to be the gold
Maximilian
medalists until the last 250 metres.
the UCI Track Cycling World Championship Men's Team Sprint gold medalists and winners of the UCI World Champions jersey representing New Zealand.
Los ganadores de las medallas de oro en la prueba
You can see the pride on the faces. They are so happy. All the hard work pays off.
Pista UCI y ganadores de las camisetas del Campeonato Mundial UCI representan a Nueva Zelanda.
Dawkins last
Ethan Mitchell, Sam Webster and Edward Dawkins.
Really put them back in the hunt all the way through it, and then he clinched a medal right on the line. 42.840, beating the Germans by 0.045 of a second. Pulling on the rainbow bands, the most proud moment for any bike rider. The biggest guy in the team, just pulling on the jersey. He gets the zip thumb up. Fantastic to see the New Zealanders on the top step of the podium. They've been getting closer and closer over the last few years, and now they've finally done it.
The flowers will be presented by the president of the Colombian Cycling Federation, Ramiro Valencia Cosio.
Las flores serán presentadas por el presidente de la Federación Colombiana de Ciclismo, Dr. Ramiro Valencia Cosio.
Well, do join us tomorrow for more racing. So we're getting ready now for the national anthem of New Zealand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of New Zealand.
Damas y caballeros, a continuación, el himno nacional de Nueva Zelanda.
The national anthem of New Zealand. New Zealand are the world champions. They have got the rainbow bands, the gold medals. The team sprint, as you can see, goes to them. Germany the silver, France the bronze.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our evening session on this first day of the UCI 2014 World Track Cycling Championship. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow when the activity starts at 12 o'clock.
Well, tonight we've seen some great racing, haven't we? 4 medals have been decided. 4 different nations have taken those medals along the way, and with some hard-fought and very close racing right at the death of all the races. At the end of day one, here's the medal table then. Germany and New Zealand with 2 medals each. Australia with 1, Belgium with 1, and China with 1. So a good medal haul overall for Germany and New Zealand. And after 4 medals presented, here's the other medals that have been taken. Denmark, Poland, France, Britain and Russia. Now I know you're all wondering what's coming up. What are we going to be looking at in the next few days? As we look out across a track that's starting to empty. Let's have a think about the races that you're going to see tomorrow. This is the schedule. We've got qualifying in the morning, but we'll be live with the action, starting with the women's 500-metre time trial. The men's scratch race medal will be presented tomorrow night as well. And we start the keirin racing as well here on this Cali track. We'll see the men's individual pursuits completed and the men's keirin. And we'll also see the women's team pursuit as well. Will Great Britain continue their winning streak and their world record winning rides? Well, what a great evening of racing we've had. The New Zealanders looking good tonight, weren't they, taking their medals. The Australians have been on song all the way through as well. Hard fought between them for some of the medals that we've seen during the night, but it was Cali Druyts of Belgium who took the women's medal that we saw earlier on in that scratch race. Here she is, looking around, daylight, the sudden recognition that she is a world champion. Big, big smile from Cali Druyts. The attack was timed to absolute perfection tonight. Maybe that little rest from riding the track paid off, and she came back with renewed enthusiasm. Now she's going to be very, very motivated indeed. So we've got a lot of medals to be presented tomorrow night. We'll see whether it's a continuation of the New Zealanders and the Australians taking the medal hauls, or I wonder whether the other nations like Great Britain will get up there on the medal table. As we look across the track then, we've had the first day of these World Championships. Things are clearing out. Riders have gone home with their dreams come true. Thanks very much to all of you for watching this evening. From me here in Cali, Anthony McCrossan, a pleasure talking to you. Bye for now.